Welcome to the Trash Cats Trashcast. I'm Richard.
I'm Steven.
Today we're talking about beans.
Why did you say beans?
I don't know. That's what I typed in the page here.
Jesus, I'm coming in a little hot today. I'm a little spicy, and I want to talk about some good old fashioned greed and corruption.
Yeah, Wait, is that before or after we talk about the beans?
I don't ever want to talk about beans. You can bookmark and catalog that. Steven's not a big bean talker.
But there's so many different kinds, Steven.
All right. I want to talk about some corrupted arts, right? When you think of art, what do you think of art as? Like basic abstract definition.
Okay, so you asked two questions there. So you started to ask, like, when you think of art, like, what do you think of? I think immediately I think of visual art. Like, for some reason, I hear art, and the first thing I think of is, like, old paintings.
Sure.
It's the first thing I think of. General abstract definition is I would say a creative endeavor, or an endeavor that is fueled less by logic, more by creativity.
Okay. I feel like that's a bad definition, but I'm with you.
Okay, you give me yours, smartass.
Well, I feel like it's only bad because it basically pins it all on creativity, which isn't defined.
Right. Well, yeah, that's art subjective.
Sure. I think it's the crystallization of emotion or beauty, ideally both, in whatever medium it is.
What about the lack there of beauty? Isn't there an art in that?
That's like the Japanese vases, the fill the cracks with gold, the imperfections are the perfection type of thing. Yeah. Like the ugly is the beauty. But generally, art, whatever medium it is, at its best is like a bearing of your soul.
Yeah.
You're putting it all out there, an idea, something that's just aesthetically beautiful or pleasing to look at or to experience. And then there's a ton of stuff. We see it more with music, I think, as a general thing, or maybe pop art too. But now there's kind of this merging of entertainment and art more and more.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Like modern movies.
TikTok videos.
I think of podcasts for sure, because there's a ton of podcasts where a conversation, I think, can be in art form or something that feels more important than just like a base level entertainment. It can hold something deeper. Like, to me, a really, I don't know, meaningful conversation could almost be looked at as a form of performance art.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
And there's a ton of performance art that's fucking lame, and a really interesting conversation could be much cooler. I kind of think back, like, did you ever watch Coffee and Cigarettes?
Oh, I have. What was that? Who is that?
I forget who directed it, but Tom Waits is in it. I remember that. But it's just basically like an interview movie of people sitting down at a table having coffee and cigarettes, and they just film these shorts where people tell these interesting stories. It's kind of Waking Life style. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Very, very interesting. But that I kind of feels like a podcast at its best could be in that realm, where it's something between a performance art, informational, entertainment art, whatever. But I feel like more and more, this is kind of where I'm trying to tie it back together. I feel like more and more art forms are just utterly corrupted by greed and I don't know, like clout and just like all the trash stuff where more and more creators are just destroying the things they make. Like the amount of ads or affiliate links or Bitcoin pricing markets, like it just feels like anything creative people make now is just like so fucking disgusting by how they handle what they make or how they present what they make. Every fucking like a podcast that starts with an ad makes me never want to listen to it again. Or
same.
But it's like everything, like start, middle, end, every hour on the hour, Twitch ads, art with like Instagram now does integrated for digital artists. Like you can have an integrated link to your crypto market online, like, which is crazy that Instagram will sponsor that shit.
Yeah.
But it just feels like very few people make shit just to make shit, or that the money is like secondary anymore.
Yeah, well, I think more and more people have, I guess, been able to, I think with, I was going to say Etsy kind of made that more of a popular thing where people realize, oh, I can do creative things and get paid for it.
I should get paid for it.
Yeah, and I should get paid for it. And I mean, with that, so I mean, like artists have been doing that for, you know, at least decades, if not longer, right? So especially in the more modern era of art, the whole
digital phones,
what I can get away with and call it art, and people are going to spend money on it for whatever reason, or people are going to give me money for it. You know, you look at your Andy Warhols and your Pollocks and all that shit, and it's like, were they putting their hearts into this work? No, absolutely not. You know,
yeah, no, not those artists.
Did they have a feel like did they feel like maybe what they were doing was cool? Maybe, you know, but it's something that they knew they could get away with doing the least amount of work and getting paid for.
They were the original clout demons.
Yeah, Andy Warhol, an OG clout demon.
So arrogant, just wanting fame. They would have other artists do their shit. They would just work with celebrities, whatever. I know less about Pollock, but he was a loser too.
He's just a Warhol with a different style.
Yeah.
You know, this message comes from you not at the very perfect time. I listened to a man speak earlier today at the event I was at today. You know, it's like in a downtown area, and they have like a stage, and sometimes they do karaoke, or they'll have like inspirational speakers come up and do stuff. And today, this man, he was talking to, you know, all the attendees there. He wasn't hired by the staff to come in.
Sure.
He wasn't like paid to be there or anything. He showed up around the time, like right after I did. I saw him like walk up, and he just started yelling at people, and he kept saying stuff like, all y'all care about is greed. Y'all ain't real. None of y'all motherfuckers. Oh, absolutely. Gotcha, yes.
Gotcha.
None of you motherfuckers are real out here anymore. You're just greedy motherfuckers that only care about this. And he held his hands up and pushed his fingers together like you're talking about money.
Oh, shit.
And I don't know who he was talking to, or, you know, not talking to, because he wasn't talking, who he was yelling at, but he was doing it a lot. And then he'd walk away and then come back 25 minutes later and do it again. And, you know, it really made me think, you know, like, hey, you know, some of these motherfuckers really are greedy motherfuckers out here. You know, he's right. He's got a point. So all I care about is money. I'm here working, making money. That's all I care about.
Yeah.
When I'm working.
It's the, like, is a job selling out kind of question. But if I'm generous and I look at the flip side, right? Like if you go back to the old painting days, you had to apprentice, and what was it called when the rich people pay for your art? Patronage.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you had to. And even though I generally dislike hustle mindset shit, I respect a good hustler too.
Right.
Like, I do get that creators need to eat, and I think it's awesome that they can support themselves off of their art. But I also, so I get that part of it.
Mm.
And I want more people to be able to work off the things they make. But I think it feels really like dishonorable to the things you're making if you have to shill for other companies
for branding, advertisements, shit like that.
Yeah, like if you're passionate about it, I think that's fine. But to shill for things you don't give a fuck about, or to, I don't know, like dishonor the things you're creating, I find super gross. And I think when I think about it that way, I always think I think to a certain extent, a lot of artists are fucking lazy and they're not willing to like work a job and make their shit. And instead they'll just like vomit for businesses all over their own shit to try to avoid working.
Yeah.
That's like the max cynical version. But I think the truth is like somewhere in between. But it just seems so shitty when you like what a creator does and then they constantly are trying to get money out of you.
Constantly trying to tell you about fucking NordVPN.
Yeah, Internet Comment Etiquette's actually just put out a video today where he said he's dropping all sponsorships. Because it would be like a quarter of his work would be these extended long ads for VPN companies and shit. And he's super fucking funny guy, but it's so fucking stupid to have to skip through a third of someone's work because they're shilling for VPN companies.
That was so. I'm all for Patreon. I like the idea of Patreon.
I don't even like Patreon, but I think it's a better alternative.
I think it's right, exactly. But it gives you the choice of where, number one, where your money's going at that point. Where, and like I was I subscribed to Run Button's Patreon for a long time, and part of the reason was that they never put ads on their videos. They had them on for a short minute, I think, but they took them right off because they were like, listen, we're not getting any, like, it's not, the money coming in is never going to be enough to, like, make it worth having, ads on our videos because it's just fucking annoying. And it's like, they're making all this money off of our views, more than we are by getting that because you're the advertisement out of it.
Yeah, because until you're big, you're still getting so little for those fucking ads for what the companies get back.
So, they were like, okay, like, fuck that, I'm not going to do that. And that was part of the reason it was, when I finally was like, oh, yeah, that's a good fucking point. And I like the idea of Patreon because what that says is, hey, if it's, and it depends on the artist individually, but for them, it was like, if we make enough in our Patreon, we can quit our day jobs and we can make more content for you. Like, we can make more of this. If you like what we do, we can make more of this. We want to make more of this. We want to do more, but it doesn't pay the bills. So we can't do it because we have to work day jobs and that makes it difficult to, schedule time to do it. And it's like, all right, that's very valid and it makes sense. So, it's like, if you can, pay us so that we can take care of our bills, then I can do the thing that you want me to do. That's something I like about, and that's more independent that way than, of course, Patreon still gets a cut.
But I agree with you though, that to me, it feels acceptable though.
Yeah.
And I feel really strongly that there's two options, right? Like, cause most people are small creators that never live off their work, right? Like they do some freelance, you make a little money. That's how it's mostly been for me. It could have gone different ways at different points, but for the most part, you make some money, but whatever. And I know for myself, if people hit me up and want my art, I will make sure I get them something, even if they don't have money. Like, I would rather someone have something I make in their home because they care about it.
Yeah.
And not pay me. I'd rather have that than for them not to have it. And I feel like there's a disconnect there. And I feel like now there's all these paths. You can do Patreon, OnlyFans, you can do mid-rolls, you can get sponsorship, you can do illegal advertising too, where you don't state it's advertising and you put it on YouTube anyway. All that fucking lame shit. So there's like a million more paths to try to like find your space as creator and make it. But I feel like the two traditional paths are how it should be. And the first is you just starve. You're a starving artist and you deal with it. Like, I feel like that's just starve like a stupid normal artist. Like how all artists have suffered for all of history. Like, you're supposed
Back in my fucking day, artists used to actually be starving.
instead of surviving off the digital crumbs of shit on the internet. So you either starve like a real artist, or you become good or popular enough at what you do that you survive off your sales or donations. And that you don't have to constantly put out, scream your name for companies and shit, and you just survive off donations and sales.
That may be the most capitalistic thing that you've ever said.
I'm not anti-capitalism, but I am.
Well, I know you're not, but what I'm saying is, I don't think I've ever heard you say a sentence that was more staunchly drenched in capitalism than that statement right there.
That could have been socialist too, because to me, if I ever made it as an artist, I would see myself primarily surviving off of small amount of donations, which is like the Patreon route.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not anti-capitalism, but I'm not. Ours is all fucked up. This is whatever. But I feel like those are the two paths that it should be, and now there's just a million different ways you can do it. And it just feels like everyone's just out scamming each other, especially with crypto NFT shit. And I'm all for the innovation. There's so much cool potential. There's so many cool ways people can make it now too. But it is just it's just a sea of garbage. I was listening to the guys of It's Always Sunny have a podcast. It's actually fucking hilarious. They're so fucking good.
Yeah, they're all naturally funny.
Because they are so similar to their characters too. But so like the first 15 episodes, no ads, right? Then they start doing ads.
Of course.
And during these episodes, they even make fun of themselves all the time. They're complaining about like a limo didn't come to take them to an event. They're like, making fun of themselves. Like, no one wants to listen to our rich people problems. And like, they're pretty down to earth about it, right? Like, they know some of their problems are like seem goofy to somebody that would be struggling or whatever. By like episode 25, they are doing 3 to 4 minute ads every 45 minutes. And it's like disgusting.
Yeah.
It's disgusting. Especially for the companies too that are involved. Like, are you familiar with the BetterHelp?
Yeah.
It's like shilled by every fucking person with a YouTube channel, podcast. Just, dude, that company's like fucked. Like, they're not the worst, but they're pretty fucked too. And it's, how when people cut to those ads, and it's one of those ones where they get paid extra to talk about it for a little while and give a personal experience. So it's always like, there's one podcast I like where one of the guys is a recovered alcoholic. He's got like 10 years sober or some shit, right? Every time they cut to his BetterHelp ad, he's like, hey, I used to be an alcoholic and maybe you are too. And, that's why therapy's so important. You should check out BetterHelp. And it's like, That's so fucking gross. It's so like, it's so fucked. It's so fucked for so many reasons, because that dude never used it to begin with.
Right.
You're taking somebody that you're preying on their like actual addiction, alcoholism, whatever, and you're saying, hey, instead of getting a real therapist or going to a doctor to get help, you should use this digital therapy app that is had a ton of problems with. And if you put an R code, we'll get a little of that sweet therapy cash back. Like every fucking major creator like reps these companies.
Mm-hmm.
It's, oh my God, dude. It drives me crazy. Like stuff I love is constantly ruined.
Yeah, I just had I went back and I listened to, what was it, the Adventure Zone, the fucking D&D podcast I listened to. And their old shit, they had ads like crazy. They've gotten much better about it. I guess they got complaints about it because they'd have ads, you know, like 3-4 different like product ads, and then they'd have like, they called it like shout out things where people would pay $100 or whatever it was for a spot, and they would like read a message for someone, and it'd be like, from so and so to so and so.
See, that's fine though, because that's a form of donation. Like if people want to support,
right?
Something.
But it took for fucking ever. There'd be like 7-8 minutes in the middle. It'd just be the one section of it, but it'd be like 7 to 8 minutes in the middle of the podcast.
Yeah, that's not okay.
And it was like, fuck, dog. And then after they read their own shit, they would have another ad from something else on the network that they're on. And then it would go back to your show, and it's all, I'm like, you know, going through, I'm just like, you know, using the skip button on fucking Spotify, like, all right, keep going.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck, man, this fucking sucks.
Like, you know, Twitch, they're one of the biggest Twitch streamers, Hassan Anabi, fucking loser. He's a communist, right? That's his whole deal. He's a super multimillionaire. Talking about eat the rich, you know, fuck capitalism, while streaming in his mansion using a streaming service owned by Amazon.
Right.
Like, what the fuck? It's so backwards.
He's living it, laughing it, loving it, man.
Dude, the balls to do that shit. Like, I don't know, man. The crypto gets really bad for it, too. I don't understand, like, all right, because a lot of these creators, they obviously, like, they want to make money, but they are passionate about what they're doing. Like, they care about their craft. Doesn't it feel like I would rather not have my next meal than to, like, hear myself read an ad or have a McDonald's commercial pop up before my song, or have a crypto link to some scam site on my NFT.
But would you be in a McDonald's commercial?
That feels different, and I'm not sure why. Is that different? If you're
I don't know.
doing a corporate commercial as an actor?
No, and here's why. Here's why it's different. Because that is a thing. It's not like you're putting it in front of your product. That's a separate project altogether. That's a job you're getting paid for.
It's still gross, but you're not shilling. You're actually like just hired. Like, I worked for Amazon for a little while. Like, I understand, like, you have to take...
You work from inside the beast.
Yeah. I was dismantling them day by day. Dude, I smashed so many TVs. We would unload these trailers, and they had, like, bogus insurance, right? And these fucking hillbillies would load these trailer trucks stacked 10 feet tall, and they'd put, like, weights at the top just to fuck somebody over. Like, shit would fall. People would have concussions and shit. Like, people would purposely, like, plant heavy shit up top.
Jesus fuck.
Like, just random assholes. But you would get massive TVs just, like, slammed in these trucks, and they'd be at the top of these package walls. And they would want you to have rates of speed that were impossible to keep, right? So you pull these conveyor belts, and it would be like on rollers into your truck, and you'd unload the truck, right? But if you needed to keep your speed or whatever, you would just take the wall of packages and slam it onto the conveyor belt. And then go to the next wall and slam it on. And you would hear like every like fourth, fifth wall, you just hear a massive TV or printer, whatever the fuck it was, just shatter inside the box.
You know what's salty is I was just thinking, like, within the last couple months, I had a thought. I don't even remember what it was that I was thinking about buying, and it was like we were talking about buying stuff at work and like buying, you know, glass or you know breakable shit through the mail.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't do it because of that. Like I've had stuff break and it's like I was scared to buy this computer, you know, and have it shipped. It was like the insurance on it was crazy good, and it was like, all right, cool. You know, and it's straight from HP. It's not going to suck. So, but I thought about that before with like everything, you know, the videos you see of even like the delivery people just like taking brand new TVs and just like they can't get into the gate, so they just like put it over the fence, and you're like, God damn. How did you not realize that was going to happen?
Dude, hearing a TV break inside of a box is one of the, no matter how fucking angry I am, that'll make me smile.
Someone else's TV, not yours.
I love it. God, dude, Amazon bought me a lot of heroin. If you work in an Amazon warehouse and you don't shoot heroin, you got a serious fucking problem.
Oh, God damn.
All right, so yeah, fuck artists, fuck Amazon, fuck BetterHelp. Gotta cross these off my list.
I had a friend not too long ago. He's an old coworker, and he was looking for work, and I told him like I didn't have anything. He's like, I'm about to go start this thing at Amazon. I'm not really looking forward to it, but you know the money should be good. I was like, all right, yeah, man. You know, let me know. Let me know how it goes, and I'll let you know if anything comes up. And I checked with him a few weeks later. I was like, hey man, how's the Amazon gig going? He's like, this job fucking sucks. It's like, this job blows.
It is. All right, here's the thing though. It is a great temporary job. And I do imagine every factory, whatever, warehouse location is different. Because you heard of all these abuse stories, right?
Yeah.
And I'm very for the unionization.
Yeah.
But these stories of people like being abused, like it was like a brutal sweatshop, I feel like most of that is people that have never had a really brutal job. Like I've had so many fucking grueling jobs. Amazon was a piece of cake. It just fucking sucked because it was lame as fuck and boring. But compared to like what a lot of people have to do working with their hands, like you get paid well for all as garbage of a job as it is. I know some places I'm sure are way worse than others, but a lot of that shit in the news was like so overhyped. Like I don't know.
I think I've gotten too used to the comforts of the quote unquote comforts of the restaurant world that like like okay, so here I was just gonna say like you don't have to clock out to go to the bathroom, you know, or to take a break. Yeah. Like you don't clock out to go to a cigarette, you know, if you want to go smoke something, you know, whatever. But that being said, you don't usually get those breaks.
Right.
You know, so like, so you don't have the opportunity to clock out. It's like, you know, you're supposed to get for every 8 hours you work, you're supposed to get 30 minutes of an uninterrupted break or something like that. And it's like that's never not a thing. I know. Yeah. We had somebody, it was a younger person, you know, 18 years old or something. He came in and, he was only scheduled to work like 5 hours that day. And he was a dishwasher. We came back and he was like sitting out back, you know, he didn't smoke cigarettes or anything. And he was just sitting out back, like playing on his phone. And we're like, all right, you know, he's taking a break, taking a minute. And then, 15, 20 minutes later, we go inside and like we're getting hit with like lunch rush and he's still out back. And we're like, what the fuck is he doing? So my chef goes back and she's like, the fuck are you doing? And he's like, I'm taking my 30-minute break. And we're like, that's not how that works. Get the fuck inside. That's not how, you don't get a 30-minute break. You're scheduled to work for 5 hours. Even if you were scheduled for 8 hours, there's no fucking way you take all of your break at once. It's not how this works.
Yeah. Now, what I will say, though, with some job, it depends on the job, how headstrong I am. Mm-hmm. But I do super respect when someone intentionally does that, where they know, even when they know, like, hey, this is going to hurt the company or business a bit, but this is my right, fuck them. I'm taking my break, even if I'm just standing here while you're slammed. I respect that too.
Here's the thing: is it doesn't fuck over the company. It fucks over all over the coworkers.
Yeah,
the company's going to be fine.
It shouldn't
fucks
be
over
that
me,
way, though. It shouldn't be that way. And I agree.
Oh no, absolutely. There should be obviously, if restaurants could afford to pay, their staff well enough to have enough people on staff so that people could take half-hour breaks or even just a full 15-minute break to, like, I don't know, not feel like an animal that just shovels food in their face over a trash can and then chiefs a cigarette real quick and then runs back in to do their job. Like, that would be great. It's just not real. It's not. They have to. Yeah, their entire system would have to change for that to be real. Like the entire, like the pricing system, everything.
The frustrating part, though, is that to an extent we've been so ground down by the gears that we're able to say, like, hey, that's just not real. But if we were the ones dictating what happened, it was our company, our business. I can't imagine being willing to put upon someone else that they have to be that way. That they have to.
Right. No, 100%. Yes, I agree. And that being said, like, so what I'm getting at mostly is that, like, for a typical dine-in restaurant, you have to have so many people working if you're going to be able to service so many customers. A set amount of each, to the ratio to each amount of customers. So when you are, the way to increase profits, or whether the way to get profits at all sometimes if business is slow is to have lower staff, right? You cut people and whatever, you send people home, but that means that those people that are there have to work, do the job of more people without any extra compensation for it. And that problem comes when, they see, we can do this more often because obviously, we maybe thought before that it took 5 people to cover, 5 servers in here, but maybe we only need like 3. Maybe we only need 4 or 3. And then they start cutting it down. And then that becomes normal. And I definitely see where that it's fucked. I think the idea of, I would consider that when making my own business model in place of like, well, how do we completely avoid that situation at all? Yeah. Because I understand how that works. That restaurant's not making money if they're, spending their stuff on labor. And if their prices are too high, then customers aren't going to come because the prices are too high. And it's like, oh, well, then they need a better product, but they have to spend better money for better products. And then it's the cycle that...
In many ways, it is the... What is it? Not allegory. The difference between communism and capitalism. It's the reality versus idealism.
It's the fucking supply and demand shit, but it's in a just a different, there's a different currency involved, and it's people's labor, and it's when I like where I work because it's not like that. We have, we will often, exactly. Like, okay, like no one's going to take a break in a rush. We're just, can't do that. That's fucked. Yeah. If you need to, if you're like overwhelmed or something, like, oh, like for sure, like go sit down, You're cool. You know, but it's not like, hey, I know we're slammed right now, but I'm going to go, smoke a cigarette because I feel like it. It's like, that's still fucked, to do that to your coworkers. I mean, I guess you can legally if you're scheduled to work for 8 hours, but sure, that's...
To me, it depends on if I care about their coworkers. If they're people that we look out for each other.
Yeah, I guess that's not fair too.
Generally, like, I'm not going to leave my homie hanging in the middle of a lunch rush. But if they're, these people underpay me, don't give a fuck about me having time to eat and all that shit, then fuck them. I'll take a break whenever the fuck I want, type of thing. But it just shouldn't be that
take
way.
a break so you can work on your resume and find another job.
Yeah.
Forget that I'm spoiled by working a job that I enjoy.
God. Here's something I had been thinking about, right? All right, let's say I have a kid. I have a stupid baby child, right?
Is it a girl or a boy? Or a non-binary individual?
It's a Steven. All right, let's go back to that comment. Let's go. What do you mean a non-binary character?
Not character, because it's not
I'm sorry,
illustrated person in a book.
We can cut this if it sounds trash.
Yeah.
I've been here. I don't think it's what you just did, but have you noticed there's a trend lately where people, every time they're like, hey, and men, and they forget to say women, right? Because typically you just say like guys, dudes, whatever. And they're like, oh, and women and non-binary. And it's like very sarcastic.
Yeah. That was not a sarcastic. That was a very earnest.
I know that. Yeah. I know how you feel about
and I
things.
appreciate you pointing it out so that other people wouldn't hear it and be like, oh, that sounded like an asshole.
But my question is like, I feel like it's worse to take the effort to add it in than to not add it at all, because to me, even if when it is earnest, it feels inherently dishonest because there's an effort in it.
So here's where I would disagree with that. And I get where you're coming from with that. But for me, the effort is where I'm trying to
show inclusion.
No, not even that. I'm trying to make myself remember to say that more often, or just,
that's fair.
It's like using they, them pronouns for people. It's hard to do on a regular basis when you're not used to doing it. If you don't know anyone who uses those pronouns, or if you don't, have the experience with people that have, it's why would you think to do it? And you don't have practice doing it. Like if you don't know anyone that uses those pronouns, so you're never using it if you just don't know anyone that does. So I've had coworkers and friends that have used those pronouns. So I started trying to just practice doing it all the time. And it's easy. It's easy to me now. It's hard to get into it.
Yeah.
But you just have to correct yourself. And then like if you say, when we would be, if we're talking about one of our friends or whatever, they're not there, and we, say she or he or whatever, and then you still correct yourself because it's, it's for me, because they're not here. They're not like being offended by me saying that because they're not here to hear it, but it's for me to remember to learn next time. It's practice.
I respect that. I mean, if anything, I think it's a very, what's the right word? It's just super considerate.
I can definitely see though where it sounds forced.
A little bit,
and when some people are, because I guess it is.
But a ton of people are doing it sarcastically, which I find like super fucking gross.
That's gross. Yeah, that's
but
bad.
Like a ton of people, like a ton of comedians, like they do it every single time just to like get an extra laugh out of people. And it's like,
that's the other one is multiple comedians are doing it. It's, when one comedian did it, it would be like, okay, whatever. I get it. It's funny. And then everyone does it. And then it's like, okay, you're repeating the same fucking joke. It's not funny anymore.
And especially because it's on that line of like, they are making a joke, but they also probably genuinely are inclusive people, but it still feels like you're making a shitty, like taking a little shot at people too. I don't know.
Right.
It's just weird. I generally feel like I'm happy to call anybody whatever they want, but
life sucks as it is.
Yeah, but I do kind of feel like intention is undervalued sometimes, and
yeah,
as a general rule, if I'm not speaking to a particular person, I don't feel the need to change how I speak.
Yeah, I feel you. I feel you on that.
It's tricky. I think it's very considerate though.
Yeah, there's one I hadn't really thought of this before. You had said, like, hey guys, or when you say that, it's like, for me, guy, I mean, I know the word guy means, usually is referring to a dude, but it's, I feel like I use guys, like, hey guys, all the time as just a, like, hey y'all term. Yeah. It doesn't register to me that it's like, it's a gendered thing, or like,
that one's on the fence.
Or even dude. But then I referred people. Yeah, exactly. Someone tried, not even dudette. Someone tried to say, like, oh, that's a gendered term. And I said, no, you ever watch Good Burger? I'm a dude. She's a dude. We're all dudes. Hey. And that's the song they sing. It
does feel like there is a bit of a, like, wildness in the over concentration of energy on gender, though. I mean, we're even talking about it now, but I feel like people are, like, pretty on all sides, like, pretty, like, over obsessed. Like,
I think
fuck it, who cares?
And I can understand why. I feel like it's also, it's like the gay marriage thing where it's like, why are we even talking about this anymore?
Well,
like, how is this hard for people to, just play ball with it? Like, how is this making your life harder?
I will, to contradict myself though, the flip side is like the abortion and gay marriage stuff, like, those are subject to change now.
Right.
Both of those are really potentially going backwards. Pretty
sad shit.
Super fucked.
This is the country we live in.
All right, speaking of people fucking people over, this was the oh, I'm sorry, I forgot what I was gonna say earlier. When I have a little kid, right?
Yeah,
Steven Jr. He's a stupid little fella, right? All right, first day of school. I cannot imagine he's a human being, right?
Mm. Is he though?
He's not as smart as me. He's not as big as me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I have legal ownership of. That's what being a parent is. You own that child like a slave. That is your legal property.
Mm-hmm.
And a group of other people that form a state, a government, they own me, right?
Right.
And they say, you have to take your little slave child and send it to a school to be tortured for 8 hours.
Yeah.
That's our world, right? Or you have to not have a job.
You have to send it here to learn the things that we want it to learn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then when it gets out, then you have to tell it to go get a job, right? You have to go get a job. They don't grow on jobbies. You got to go out and feed yourself. Dude, I can't imagine telling a kid they have to go to school. Like that, even with the best of intentions, I see that as a cruelty that breaks any form, but like if you say you believe in people's ability to govern themselves or have independent freedoms, and then you send a kid to school, you're a piece of shit.
Now, I do want to help you to clarify. That's not taking away the value of having an education. It's sending a kid to school.
Yeah, they got to learn on the street, the school of hard knocks.
Learn the real shit.
No, but
I'm still waiting for some of that shit I learned in math class in 7th grade to come back to use.
I had this debate though with my mom like a month, very in a light way, because I try not to dive deep in the debate waters with my family. I'll go in a little bit, but I pull out early because they can't handle the rage. But I cannot imagine sending a kid to school if you know they don't want to be there and they're unhappy. Like, I can't imagine making someone skip their lunch break even though they're hungry. I can't imagine those things. Like, I heard that too. Is that a raccoon in the wall?
It's something on my roof.
Click,
that
click.
Definitely picked up on the
Yeah, that sounded like
here.
An animal.
There's something climbing around on my roof up here, man. Pretty fucked up.
Yeah, that was a good...
They're all getting ready for hibernation. They're getting fat. Oh man, all the squirrels up here are getting real fat.
Honestly, it sounded like a branch. Like it sounded like something went... And then...
It might have been my mom moving furniture downstairs. I'm kind of like, my office is in like kind of like this corner where it kind of sound reverberates in it. So
yeah, I do have one other spin we can take. So there's a website, and I encourage, it's an art thing. There's an Instagram page, a website, and I encourage people to check it out. And I will say the website name. And
that'd be wild if you didn't.
Well, here's the thing. I'm going to criticize it, and we've even featured honorable mentions of artists that are part of the group or sell through the website. And I think as an arts organization, it is absolute trash, and it's predatory to the artist, because
shots fired.
Yeah, I'm not going to mention like the specific people's name. They're probably never going to hear this either, but I don't give a shit about it. But I'm not, my goal isn't to like start a beef with anyone, but I just think artists really fuck over artists all the fucking time. Yeah. So the website and Instagram is ArtGrab. I think it's like ArtGrab Co. And it's run by a founding group of like 10 to 20 artists, and I'd say half of them are among like the top 100 biggest digital artists on Instagram, right? Like there's a ton of big names that anyone into modern digital art is familiar with, at least a few of these people, for sure. And it started as a smaller group, but it expanded with funding. And it's about 10 to 20 artists. They got together, they made this site, and they sell album covers, right? And they reach out to other artists, so they have their own art on there. And then they reach out to other smaller creators. And this is like a very common thing among internet creators, is somebody eventually decides like, hey, we're getting fucked over. We need to band together and support each other's arts, right? And we're going to make a group. We're going to make a collective. We're going to have a website, Discord, whatever. And we're going to help each other make money and grow our clout game. And inevitably, there gets to that certain point where it turns into fucking over the smaller artist. And in my opinion, that's exactly what this group does, ArtGrab. So they get other smaller digital artists, and it is all by choice voluntarily, but you upload art, right? The art is intended to be sold for digital. It could be for print too, but for album covers. So they are advertising your art among other artists on their website, on their Instagram, and tons of people see it, and you're more likely to sell that art as an album cover, right?
Yeah.
They approached me a couple years ago. They're still relatively early in the game, if I'm correct on that. And I was really proud of myself, because I would imagine I'm one of the few people at the size I was at the time that declined joining, because and one of the artists I really respect, and he's one of my favorite digital creators, but he was the one to reach out to me. And I took a look at this contract, and dude, it was so fucking terrible. And multiple people we've done like honorable mentions on use this site regularly to sell their art. But basically it turned out like, I'm gonna fuck up on the percentage, but they would keep, it was either 25 to 50% of the profits.
Oh, Jesus.
It was exclusive rights. So if you put an album, if I made a piece of art and then I put it on that to be sold as an album cover, it has to be exclusive because you can't sell that cover to multiple different bands and shit like that, right?
Right.
So that piece of art, legally, you would retain a form of your copyright, but you're giving away that commercial licensing for good.
Yeah.
So every piece you put up, the max selling price at the time was like $125.
Oh, shit.
So
Fuck
you're giving up permanent rights to a piece of art for $125 that you keep, like, let's say it's 3/4 of it. And the rest is going to a collective of the biggest digital artists on Instagram. So every album cover that they put up, these other digital artists that are already thriving are taking a percentage of my money and every other small. But dude, that's like the fucking normal. Like any art group thing it always turns into a fucking scam. Crypto shit, NFT, digital stuff is out of control with it too. But very disappointing because there's a ton of people I really respect that fuck with it. And I think some of them do have some success, but it just, even if you were to do okay and potentially grow that way, it just feels so unethical for another artist to make money off my art.
Yeah.
Even if they're facilitating it, they're taking higher percentages than a lot of art managers would. Or galleries, even. Just seems fucked.
Yeah, man. Like the whole middleman game. That's the racket. That's the fucking. Oh man.
If anything that's a middleman that is not drugs is fucked.
Yeah.
If you're middlemaning drugs, that is honorable. Okay.
Right. That's fine. I need someone to get help me get point A to point B.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Unless you're one of those people that just won't give your dude the phone number, because that's scummy.
Yeah.
Super scummy. But especially, yeah, dude, you're right though. Any middleman, especially with arts or creative goods of all shapes and sizes, if you're middlemaning creativity, that's a inherently scummy position.
Yeah. One of my favorite drug dealers was a guy in Toronto, and he didn't even like being called a drug dealer. He didn't like make money off of it. He sold drugs so that he could have free weed.
Yeah,
and the amount that he sold was enough that the markup he would put on it was just enough to cover his own needs.
Yeah.
And it was like that's valiant. I dig it. It was like one of the cheapest places cheapest people I found to buy weed from in school.
That's like half of drug dealers, though.
Yeah.
Whether they intend to or not.
And I feel, I mean, at least from what I understand, like weed's one of the ones where it's like,
yeah,
you can get away with doing that a lot more than.
No one sells coke to break even or cover their stash.
Right, yeah. It's a dangerous game right there.
Selling coke sucks. I would rather sell heroin than coke all day.
Just because it's all powdery and it makes a big mess?
The upper customers are edgier. You know what I mean? Like if you're selling to junkies, like one of the dudes I used to buy heroin from, he would always wear this shirt. He was so proud of it. And I'd buy from him on the street too, like middle of public. And he'd have his shirt would say, "I heart all my junkies."
Oh yeah, you told me about that.
And he would like roll it up sometimes, 'cause, like if there were cops or whatever. It's like, dude, that's so fucking ridiculous. But when you're selling to dope heads, they're normally pretty down, right, on their luck. Not like they're tired and sleepy all the time, but like their shit's fucked up, right? But when you're selling to meth or coke, crack, whatever, like those people, they're edgy. They're more unpredictable. They get wild ideas and might want to rob you at any time. You're more on edge around the uppities.
The uppities.
The upper heads. Speaking of getting fucked.
This is life advice from Steven.
Oh, man. I miss selling. I mean, speaking of getting fucked, I saw this was pretty crazy. U.S. STD epidemic is out of control, says public health experts. And it's funny. Good. The article has a picture of a banana that's going bad. That's like black spots all over.
That's really good.
Which just feels like an absurd choice that I commend the writer of this article.
Have you ever seen I know they do it in Canada. I think they do it on most other countries where they sell cigarettes. They have the pictures on them, and it's like,
shit.
Yeah, there's one that had a something about cigarettes cause impotence, and it was a cigarette, but it was like drooping,
limp.
Yeah, a limp cigarette. I was like, oh, that's funny as fuck. That's.
Now, as an older adult, if I had to buy cigarettes with a picture of those black lungs on it, that would discourage me a very small amount. But it would kind of bother me to have to see that on my cigarettes all the time.
Yeah.
But as a teenager, that would have been rad as fuck.
Yeah, it would have been cool. You would have been like, let me get the ones with the black lungs on them.
Yeah, let me see the picture of the mutilated bodies on my cigarette. That's awesome. Yeah. So this article is pretty interesting because we have the monkeypox going now too. But in the United States, there was a 26% rise in syphilis infections and a 16% increase in HIV cases reported this year. According to David Harvey, executive director of the National Coalition of STD Directors, the sexually transmitted disease epidemic in the U.S. is out of control. Be careful out there.
Oof.
A massive surge in sexual activity as people emerge from COVID-19 lockdowns. People are feeling liberated. And between that and condom use declining, also new monkeypox stuff, it's crazy. STD rates are up this high again. And then we have the medicines aren't working as much because you have like the super syphilis and super herpes that have become immune to antivirals, and HIV rates being up seems pretty fucked. Like,
yeah, that's scary shit out there, man. Don't be silly, wrap your willy.
Condoms suck though.
I mean, of course they do.
It's one of those things you only ever. Everyone says to use them, right?
Mm-hmm.
No one uses them.
Right, but you still have to say to use them. It's just what we do.
I feel like you only ever really use them for like either a one-night stand or the first time.
Well,
with the person.
Yeah, you don't use. I mean, so if you have a long-term relationship with somebody.
Use a condom every time.
Oh, yeah, you have to use
We've been married for 10 years.
Well,
We've gone through thousands.
You're not worried about getting, catching diseases when you have the same partner all the time. It's pregnancy at that point. So, I mean, that's also a reason to wear a condom if that's the alternative that you go with. But
well, what is kind of
just get your nads snipped, dude. Like get the tubes tied or whatever, Well,
I was gonna say, now with as much pushback on abortion as there is, there's also been a push for male birth control, and there's a couple drugs that do exist. I'm not sure how available they are, but there is a daily pill for male birth control now.
Really?
And that,
I'd like to see how well that goes.
Well, it spins the whole game, because how can you no longer can just put it on the women, right?
Right.
Like that can change how we look at the responsibility of pregnancy, STD, whatever, just sex in general, by a lot.
Does it have a lot of the same side effects? I'd like to see what the side effects are.
My understanding is that it's a lot less and more effective. I'm not sure if they're to market yet, but there's been a push for them, and I believe they will be in.
Go figure. They make birth control for men, and it's got less side effects. So
Yeah.
It's more effective.
Well, think about it. Abortion stuff gets set back, and within months, there's new male birth control. You know what I mean? Like, that's all it. They never tried to make male birth control. That's, like, I'm sure somebody was working on it, but there was no money behind it. But dude, it feels like if you were younger, I don't know, like I have somebody, I don't want to say who, but somebody I'm close to that's younger than me, that I know well, had their first sexual experience, and they actually were in the hospital, and afterwards, because the hospital...
Wait, I thought you were saying they were in the hospital when it happened.
No.
I was going to say, that's a wild place for their first sexual encounter.
So the short of it is they happened to get mono shortly before they had sex. And because of that, they got encephalitis, brain swelling, and it lined up with right when they had their first sexual experience. And it got bad enough that they had to be hospitalized because of brain swelling, vision problems. And because encephalitis affects STD testing, it kept showing up as HIV.
Wow, you've told me this story.
And they even had the person go to the pharmacy to start the process of getting medication for HIV.
How terrifying that must have been, though.
It's fucked.
Oh shit, that would have been terrifying.
But I feel like if you were younger, like I feel like most people's first sexual experience, they're probably not using protection because it's their first time, right? Like
I did my first time.
You're wise. You're a wise.
And it was a very good idea to do so. And I'll not because of STDs and whatever, but because she started her period during, and it was been
okay then.
I was fine. It was whatever. But I think it was mostly it was whatever because I had the condom on. It might have been a little less cool at the age I was at.
Yeah, maybe for first time wouldn't have been so cool, but
yeah,
I got an STD early.
That was one of the very few things that I wasn't prepared for. I was mentally prepared for like almost anything. I had an idea, a working function of what was going on here. That one, no one told me, oh yeah, this can happen.
This year, a study revealed men could regularly, that's a word I cannot say.
Yeah.
Every single podcast I've ever said it, I've had to edit it out.
Yeah.
I cannot say regularly.
So he's trying to say it slow and you still fucked it up.
Regular. I don't understand the syllables. A study revealed in 2022, or 21 or 22, that men could regularly take a hormone pill called dimethylandrolone androcanate, DMAU, to prevent pregnancy without any significant side effects.
Now, I want you to look back at that medication you just said, and don't try to say it again. I want you to give me a percentage, a 0 to 100. How close to nailing it did you?
I thought it was two different words. I can get it though. It's dimethylandrolone undecanate. I'm messing up the second part. Uncanonate. Dimethylandrolene uncanidate, I believe. Dude, it's crazy. I can read medical terms really. I have to code an emergency room chart, which has procedures, diagnoses, all this shit. I have to code one chart every 3 minutes for 8 hours a day. I can skim and read medical terms really fucking quick, but I can't fucking speak any of them. Like if I was quizzed on what I know medically with an oral test, I'd fail everything. I sound like a fucking idiot.
That's why I can't do Duolingo. It wouldn't recognize. I tried to learn French for a little while, and it wouldn't let me. I tried to enunciate the words. It didn't like it. I remembered the words and I knew the words, but when it got to the point where I actually had to say it and the computer had to recognize what I was saying as a French word, it was like, no, that's not right.
Can't get over your Price Hill accent.
Yeah, it's just the fucking P Hill in me. So at that point I said, all right, fuck it. I'm just going to embrace it. So now it's like, oh, damn it. See, I don't even remember the fucking words, but it's like instead of garçon, it's Garkin.
Garthol? I will never learn another language. There's no way. I would love to, but my brain does not work that way.
I'm looking at trying to pick Spanish back up. Just Spanish because it would be boring. Useful. And even up here, it would be useful. There's
How many Spaniards are you talking to?
There's a Mexican town up here, man. The whole southwest Detroit is like mostly Mexican population. And around Pontiac up here, where I'm at, there's a little...
But here's the thing, though. Let's say you learn Spanish. My brother has a Spanish degree. There's a funny story about that. But he studied it, let's say, 6 to 8 years. He got to the point where he was relatively fluent. This is Approaching Human, who does our music. He got to the point relatively fluid, but he fell out of practice at different points. And he would say, like, man, you lose it quick. Like, he could get back to where he was, but you do lose it quick. So you're in Detroit. You learn Spanish. You study it for years and years. I feel like to have the confidence to speak to someone who looks like they speak Spanish, for you to feel confident enough to speak to them in Spanish instead of English, you have to be pretty good at your Spanish.
Yeah, or very specific
to do so.
I think as long as it's something very specific that we're talking about,
I agree.
It's fine. So most of my interactions where that would come in handy is when I'm working.
How often do they not speak English and they need something only you in broken Spanish could get to that? That's.
I've had 2 different customers this week that didn't speak any English.
Really?
And they had coworkers with them that were like translating the menu for them.
Okay. Well, that's more. I'm surprised. You see a lot of people every day, though.
Yeah. So hundreds, like the percent, right? The percent, at least. So that being said, as long as I can say, fucking this one's got strawberries in it and peaches and whatever. If I can say, catchphrases and at least kind of communicate that, true, my shitty Spanish is usually going to be worse than whatever their English is. However good their English is. So that's going to happen. But there have been, like I said, 2 different instances in the past week where the person I was, that was trying to order did not understand any English. Not at least not enough to even read it, and barely enough to communicate to me in it.
Well, maybe it'd be a good way to start would be to just learn/memorize your menu in Spanish, because because you might not need as much other language. Like if you get that, you might be able to solve some problems.
I mean, I already understand. I remember a lot of like the grammar kind of structure shit, how that works.
Agua.
Yeah, agua.
Rojo.
I remember the two main phrases I remember is una más cerveza, por favor.
Give me one beer. Right?
Yeah, give me one more beer, please.
Yeah.
And then donde has un baño?
Bathroom.
Where's the bathroom?
Man, I took German because I
took German. I was in the German bilingual school until I was 3. Until I was in 3rd grade.
What a disgusting, ghoulish language.
It's goofy as fuck, but I was just talking to somebody about German the other day. They said something about the number 5. They said Fünf. And I was like, oh, that's the 5. And I was like, oh shit, I remember how to count to 10 in German. And it just like flooded back to me all of a sudden, like, where the fuck did that come from?
Dude, that's wild.
Like that was just locked in a part of my brain, and I hadn't thought about it in at least 20 years.
Dude, I had this teacher, my German teacher. He had been at this school for like 25, 30 years. Like my uncles had this same teacher.
Do you remember his name?
It started with a W, Mr. Windisch.
Ooh, it's German as fuck.
It was super. This dude, by the time I got to him, was a mess. He would talk. He was the angriest man I've ever seen have a job as a teacher. Like furious. He hated students, and he would tell bizarre stories. Like when his daughter would have she brought her boyfriend over for the prom night type thing, and he's the type of dude that not only did he do this, but he later tells his class about it, that he went and got his shotgun and started polishing it. Yeah. He's that motherfucker. And then tells his class about it like he's a fucking warrior, right?
Yeah. He's a warrior.
I could not do this class because I hated him. So I think that was one of the first people I was like for sure set on killing. Like this was like in my serial killer arc, and I was damn close. But he was on my list for sure, right? He almost changed my life. But at one point I had to take private lunch tutoring with him. Now, this angry man, turns out he also had narcolepsy.
Oh, Jesus.
I probably had like 10 lunch tutor sessions with him. He was not conscious 5 minutes of the 10 sessions. As soon as this motherfucker, his feet touched the ground, he was out. And I would have to sit there while he's unconscious with this dude I legitimately wanted to kill for a half an hour once a week or whatever. Just watching him snore and bob in and out. He had a severe case of narcolepsy. Oh my God. It was so fucking ridiculous, man.
So did you learn anything?
Not a damn thing. I coasted by with a D- in German for 2
You still got a D-?
Yeah, just for the effort I put in. But that school, I left sophomore. I left at the end of sophomore year, and I went to SCPA with you, and I had never even been inside that school except to take the entrance test. So I saw like one class. That was it. Like I had no idea I don't even know if I really knew anything about it except they had extra art classes. Like I just did not give a fuck. But when I left the school with the German teacher, after I left, and it was because of me and Sam, really, they banned any form of clothing that had a hood on it. Like you couldn't even wear hoodies to this day. You can't wear clothes that have a hood on it. Like your winter coat cannot have a hood.
Why?
Because we'd all just throw on our hoods and run rampant through the building and do weird shit.
Was the hood was just to conceal your identity?
Yeah. And cheating on tests. It's just everything. Hoods made school so much better. Put earbuds in, sew little drug pockets in your sweatshirts, hide from the cameras so you could steal the food from the drama department, all the fun stuff. You know?
Yeah, stealing snacks from the drama department.
Dude, that's the move. Any school that has plays or whatever, music, whatever.
They have craft services.
They do all the parents make all the food, but they're making food for like 100 actors, and they would leave it in the green room for the kids to eat after school before the play or whatever, you could go in there and steal 200 cookies at a time. You could steal 3 plates of lasagna. You could just steal
plates of lasagna.
like full trays. You could steal hundreds of dollars of food and leave the whole acting department hungry if you wanted.
Hey, here's another pro tip. If your school has a band and that band does like bake sales or like, fundraisers, like that kind of shit where they have stuff for people to buy, all those items, they're stored in a room somewhere, probably in the band room.
Just gotta find it.
Nab all that shit.
I'd be curious to know what percentage of our high school years were spent hunting for cookies and other sweet pastries.
Spent doing something inside the school, doing something that wasn't school.
Wandering around downtown, smoking the devil's lettuce.
Go to the coffee shop and then like maybe coming back sometimes.
Never once had money for the coffee, but we spent a lot of time at the coffee shop. Dude, that's what sucks now. Like, how many days of school is a school year? It's like 150, something like that.
More than that, I think.
I feel like it's lower than I thought it was. But now, if you skip school, like, you're going to court.
Going to court?
Dude, like, Cincinnati Public Schools.
180.
180. If you miss, like, after, like, the second miss uncalled for, like, Cincinnati Public Schools, like, they start processes. Like, if you skip, like, 5 days in the year without doctor's appointments or parents involved, they start court processes.
Against the student?
Against the student's parents and the student. And both are involved. But, like, if you miss a single day, they are making phone calls and shit.
So here's what we got. Michigan Senate votes to toughen school truancy rules. A child with at least 10 unexcused absences in a single year would be considered truant.
Yeah, but, like, Cincinnati Public Schools, like, if you're at 3 to 5, they're very involved with the parents at that point.
I know they started doing, like, towards the end of our shit, they started doing the My Parent Connect or whatever it was. Yeah.
Dude, senior year.
They call your house, and, like, there was no one at my house that could answer the phone.
Sure. I had 57 absences senior year.
Jeez.
So that's every 3 days. I didn't have a school day on paper. Like, I was probably there like some of those days.
Somewhere. You were somewhere in the building.
I was around. Just pay the security guard and cigarettes and roll
out
on
in the
out.
parking lot smoking blunts.
Yeah. Jesus Christ. But dude, I know, like, one of my buddy's kids is in Cincinnati Public Schools, and it's like a big deal if a kid skips 1 day of school. That's fucked up.
Yeah.
There's, like, no freedom to make
There's
mistakes.
so much life to live.
Well, think about, like, how many dumb things we did. Like, how many, like, actually scary situations or, like, fucked up places we got ourselves into.
I would argue that most of the times, if I'd got myself, found myself in a, looking back on it, like, oh yeah, that was probably a real sketchy situation.
Yeah.
It usually wasn't during school hours though. Like, I did dumb shit. Like, I definitely, like, I think the sketchiest thing I ever did was, like, hanging out in the parking lot outside of school, smoking cigarettes or smoking blunts and, like, in downtown fucking in over the Rhine.
That's pretty mild.
I mean, considering, it's just like a 16-year-old sitting out there by themselves, that's extremely mild.
Yeah.
That's the wildest thing I think I ever did during school hours. I definitely, there's one time we had a few of us drove up to the art museum during the day.
We did.
And we hung out at the fucking Eden. It was like a beautiful day outside. It was super nice. And it was like, fuck going inside. Like, that sucks. Like,
but think about it today though, like, that, for whatever reason, right? That's going to be a memory you hold forever.
Right,
like,
exactly.
Really
that was a
day.
very cool, like, what the fuck? What thing that I miss in math that day that's more, that was going to stick with me more than that experience, that fun. We went to the art museum and we pulled out the stools they have, that little folding stools, chairs or whatever. And we brought our sketchbooks and shit. And like, we actually like drew shit in the museum, and like, they didn't give a fuck. They, you know, the students got in free and they didn't question like, okay, it's, you know, 11:30 on a Tuesday. Shouldn't you be in school? They were just like, oh, hey, what's up?
Adults did not give a fuck.
No, absolutely not.
All. But imagine now, like, you got your phone on you. Your parents have the tracking apps. If you miss one day, you're getting a suspension. You might have, you did it 4 times that semester. You might have a court date. Your parents might have meetings with the school. You might have fun. Like, the freedom to make mistakes, right? To like to be out too late without a phone and get beat up once in a while, and like realize like maybe I shouldn't do XYZ anymore. Or, like, all those things you have to like figure out by making mistakes. If you're not allowed to figure any of that shit out on your own, it's like that's why you got people that go to college and then like just turn into alcoholic sluts. Or like, you know, guys and girls, you know, like people that just like go crazy and like fuck up their whole college life, or can't make it through school because as soon as they had any freedom, they don't know how to handle anything, you know?
Exactly. I definitely I look back and I definitely think like, oh man, you know, like, at first it was like, oh, maybe I partied too much when I was young, and then I realized I got to like 21, 22, and it was like, I really don't give a fuck about partying anymore, though. Like, I'm not.
You partied exactly the right amount. You were Goldilocks.
I agree. I feel like, you know, exactly the point that it's just, it made, it didn't matter anymore. And by the time that I was like ready to like settle in and be a fucking adult and do shit, it was like, all right, well, this is, okay, I'm done fucking partying now. Like, I don't need, like, I can fucking settle in and actually do something. And, yeah, I don't know. I definitely don't regret it. I highly recommend it. Fucking smoke weed, do drugs, drink kids, play beer pong when you're 12. Go for it.
You're supposed to make those mistakes early, you know, while they're still novel. Because later they are no longer a novel experience. But
play beer pong when you don't have to worry about hangovers.
Man, dude, I had a moment yesterday. Sarah stayed the night at her mom's. They had some family stuff going on, and I had the house to myself. Do you do the thing? I would not say I'm avoidant of it, but like maybe once a month, right? Where you like actually look yourself in the eye in the mirror.
Oh,
yeah. You know that thing where like most of the time people see themselves in the mirror. You're not like really, you're looking at like how you look, but you're not looking into your eyes like it's another person.
Yeah. And I know what you mean by clarifying. You're not like, you don't try to avoid it usually, but it does come up when like, especially if like you're like grooming like facial hair or whatever, you know, you're looking in the mirror at details of stuff and you catch a glimpse.
You're like, oh shit.
You catch a glimpse of that deep in the eye and you're like, I can't do this right now.
Yeah.
Not right now. Like I don't have time for this shit. I got to get to work.
Yeah. Like I can't be soul gazing right now. I have to go not eat a meal and sweat for 8 hours. Yeah.
I will say definitely more often than not, the times when I do that, I am intoxicated in some way.
I did it more when I was intoxicated, but
yeah, I'm sure I've done it sober before, but it's almost every time that I can like remember in my head was like that happened. Usually if I'm like trash drunk, I will do that at some point. I'll go to the bathroom and then after I wash my hands and I look up and it's like, oh,
spend some time like,
but this is me. This is where I'm at right now in this place.
But that is a thing though, because part of that is the, you know, a reality check, the self-grounding, the check-in, the lowered inhibitions to be willing to look at yourself in the eye, all those things. And I think there is a part of for better or worse, altering your consciousness it is challenging to yourself, or where even if it is a great experience, you do kind of have to, like, I don't know, face yourself to some extent or whatever. But I was having one of those moments yesterday, and I remember thinking, like, holy fuck, because we've talked about it before, especially on the Time Star manifest. I really feel like I have a brain problem with time, severely. Like, something is different with me in that.
Do you think it's more in the tracking of it or the cataloging of it?
I don't know. It feels like a feeling it. Like, I just can't. It really feels. Some of it is, I think, just perspective, how I think, and that type of thing. I feel like that amount of it is within the normal, but there also feels like a brain damage part of it where, like, it feels like shit's just, like, disappears sometimes. I
mean, I don't think that's too far from normal, though.
I agree.
I get where you're coming from, that it might be to a larger extent, but, like, I do want to point out that
it's not.
I feel like most people have that to a degree.
I agree, but I feel like I feel like most of the time it's within a normal range, but there's times where it feels really severe, where, like, I can't wrap my head around how I lost that much time. It's kind of weird, but I had one of those moments. I was looking at myself like, holy fuck, shit is gonna keep going by quicker than it is, and I was like, had that panicky feeling where I was like, oh fuck, man, like, this is things are gonna start going way quicker now too. Like, I should at least kind of celebrate this this reflection clarity moment and enjoy it for what it is, because shit goes quick. You're not promised tomorrow. All the cliches, whatever. And then my next thought was, like, because I don't go anywhere, dude. I've probably drove my car 15 minutes in the last week and a half. Like, I don't go anywhere, see anyone, right? Like, I think I've hung out with, like, one person a week, but I'm talking to people regularly. I'm not, like, total, like, shut in or anything. I just don't have anything going on. I'm working on art and working. But I was looking at the mirror, and I'm always wearing a robe and slippies now. And I'm like half naked, covered in tattoos. I look at myself in the mirror. I'm like, holy fuck, man! I'm watching myself become a strange old man very quick. Like, I'm just on the internet 20 hours a day, doing medical coding and working on art and not giving a fuck about the outside world at all. I'm like,
not wearing clothes.
Yeah. I'm like, this is getting strange real quick. And that part of, and I'm losing time. I'm like, that part of it made me feel kind of excited, because I'm like, where the fuck is this strange old man gonna go?
Ooh, where's this going? Where's this path going?
That's exactly what the feeling was. I was like, and I'm still sober right now. I got some time together, but I'm getting my savings together. When I get to a certain point, I'm gonna go full crazy old man, and I got kind of excited about that.
Just a cantankerous old coot.
It made me slightly excited for the future.
God damn it, that's funny.
I hope 20 years from now, I can look back at this podcast episode and be like, that young man was right.
I did it.
You're going to be a funny old man, too.
That's one, I definitely had it a lot when I was young. I felt like I was able to kind of, like, visualize the future. Excuse me, I'm yawning, I'm so sleepy.
Yeah, we got to call it.
I feel like when I was younger, I found it easier to visualize the future, and now that I'm older, I feel like some of the things that I planned for or that I, like, expected,
doesn't work out.
I changed my mind about it. Like,
Yeah.
when I was in my early 20s and I was like out of culinary school and whatever, and I was doing shit, I was like, you know what? I'm talented and I'm smart. I should have my own business of some kind by the time I'm 30. I want to have my own restaurant. That's what it was originally, like a bar or a restaurant. And then it was like, oh, I don't want to own a restaurant. Fuck that.
Yeah.
And then it became more of like, I still wanted like something of my own, but the point behind it was I don't want to have to like work for somebody or like, have to answer to somebody kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then my priority shifted and like now I'm 30 and it's like, I don't have my own thing, but I'm actually
passionate.
I'm cool with that because it's not my money on the fucking line right now.
Yeah,
I enjoy.
Wasn't worth it.
Right, exactly. I'm down. I find the pattern I work in is a lot better when I don't have that mental stress going on. I can handle so much more shit. I'm an excellent second in command. I'm really good at taking what someone, being first in command at being like, executing plans, actualizing ideas. But it's someone else. What?
You're the podcast outliner shaper. I have harebrained ideas and I get a bunch of materials together and you always make it make sense. That's how you are though.
But being the person that's like handles all the overhead, handles all the like, you do the marketing and the, worry about, payroll or even and shit like that. Like you take care of all that. You make sure that's, as long as that's all straight, you just give me the parameters of what you need done. And that's what I thrive in that of like, I want to, and actually I'm about to ask my boss to like sit down and like, hey, let's talk about like for next season, like what more can I take on? Like what more stuff can I do to make your life easier, to help the business grow? Like what can I be doing better kind of thing? I thrive in that. So where was I going with that? Oh, looking at the future. So it's like, it just continuously kept changing. And now it's at a point where I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at anymore. It's like, it's just, I'm on the ride for it now. And it feels good because I feel like now I'm more living in the moment rather than thinking on the future like I did a lot more when I was young. Now it's like, I'm here living it, baby. And it's just.
Well, it's more true to who you are.
Right.
Like what you would want. Yeah. No, I feel like my problem was more the things I wanted were so unrealistic. Like I wish I would have been able to temper that better when I was younger, because then it made it feel like nothing was ever going to work out right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think a lot of people do that though. Where like, especially with internet shit today, everyone thinks they're going to be famous, change the world, or be an athlete or artist or whatever it is.
Yeah, I think definitely the social media stuff has painted the idea in people's head that anybody can
do anything.
Yeah, get famous off of something. And here's the thing is, your chances definitely increase, but the impact you have is so much shorter lived that, 15 seconds of fame thing is very much more real. Even if you have something that goes viral, it just gets moved on and forgotten about within, a couple of days to a week.
Rock stars are a thing of the past. Rap is the new punk. Like that, it really is that backwards, but that really is how things went.
I think an easy way to put it in perspective, or at least the way that did it best for me, how fast the internet moves on from shit, is to look at memes. And if you look at memes, like just from this year, like we're about we're 3/4 of the way through the year almost. Look at like just shit from this year and like some of the ones from like January. You're like, oh fuck, that came out in January. That was a thing that was like a trend in January. That feels like it was years ago. Like it feels I don't know. Think it feels weird because it was like so many. It's not, that was time. It was just that medium. There have been so many things in that medium that you've ingested since then that it was so many different things ago. It was a different currency of, not currency, but a different measurement of things, not time, but so many memes ago.
Many memes ago.
Many memes ago.
I do have a couple, I guess, quick news things. Is there anything you want to cover before wrapping?
Yeah. When are we going to talk about the beans?
I think never.
That's right. That's right. You did say never. That's right. Okay.
If you plan an excellent bean episode for it, I'm all for it.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess quick logistical things. I hope people liked Palaces and Pandas. I think that second episode of it was really fun.
Yeah.
I purposely didn't call it Palaces and Pandas 2 because I don't want people to think they have to listen to the first.
Yeah, I dig that. I like that.
But we're going to fuck with that now and again because it's been really fun. And it's cool we got an extra hand to help us with Keith to lighten our workload and make it some fun. So
yeah, Keith is pulling his fucking weight around here finally.
Yes.
It's pretty cool.
our raccoon wrangler, Keith. So thank you again for that, Keith. And then next week, I'm going to say it now so we cannot weasel out.
That's a good call. That works.
A fire episode on the way of Satanism, the history and philosophy. So
not only do we have to do that topic next week, but it's got to be a fire episode. It's got to be good.
It's got to be. And then there was I feel like there was one other thing, but we need ratings. Spotify does ratings now.
Oh, hell yeah.
We need iTunes ratings or whatever. That's like the max shilling you're going to get for us is that click a button when you already are clicking buttons.
Comment, and subscribe.
Sure, yeah.
5 stars.
5 stars.
Unless it's 10 stars, then give us 10 stars.
Yeah,
give us the most stars.
As many stars as possible.
If it's banana stickers, we'll take those too.
I think it's it. Are you going to crash? You going to crash tonight?
Yes, absolutely. I've got to be at work.
Dude, I cannot sleep. I've been up. I've been going to bed at 5 or 6 a.m. and then I wake up at 8.
You try a nice cup of chamomile tea.
Sometimes I'm out of sleepy time, and sleepy time tea really
sleepy
works
time
for me.
Rips.
That shit's
like good shit.
I think you know what it is.
Nice little honey in there.
Yes, and the thing, it's just so amazing they can make such a lovely tea out of teddy bears. It's that bear meat that makes it work so well.
And they have the good shit, because I've tried I've gotten like the teddy bears from Build-A-Bear. I've tried the Beanie Babies. They don't work.
I'll take a bunch of melatonin and then a big cup of sleepy time tea. And that normally puts me down by 3 a.m. But without it... Now,
here's the thing. When are you taking the melatonin and drinking
I normally shoot for 11:30, 12. Because if I pass out during the first wave of sleepies, I'm good. But normally I arrive that wave and I get kind of...
Are you looking at your phone or have a TV on? I have a screen on?
I'm doing everything at once.
You can't have the screen on. You just have to, if you want the sound playing, that's fine, but you can't have the screen on.
I sleep listening and watching stuff every day.
Well, apparently you don't sleep.
Sometimes I do. I can't. The thing is I just can't sleep on someone else's schedule. Like I can't sleep on a work schedule.
Don't.
I can sleep. I will sleep 10, 12 hours every single night if I'm allowed.
Don't say a work schedule, because that's, Stephen, I hate to tell you this, that's your schedule.
No, it's their schedule.
Your work schedule is your schedule.
Oh, it's not mine. I'm tolerating it till I don't have to. But I would sleep every day and a half. How many
fathers have said that about their children? It's not mine.
It's not mine.
I'm just tolerating it till I can move out of the house.
I would sleep every day and a half, but for 12 hours if it was my schedule. And I'm going to get there.
It's not even double donking anymore. That's just a continuous donk. Always donk.
Always donk.
ABD, always be donking.
That's our next shirt. All right. Let's call it. This was. I feel like we got some good stuff in. Definitely some jokes might have to cut, but we did okay. We'll have a little more structure next week, guys.
Oh, God damn it. Thanks again for listening, everybody. Thank you to Approaching Human for the use of his music. You can find his work on SoundCloud at Approaching-Human.
Thanks, John.
Make sure to check out the show page at Trash Cats Trashcast on Instagram for news and arts from the show. Also check out Facebook for the memes.
If you're super worried, you can check out my trash yard on Instagram at Skyzix, SKYZOCX. And no honorable mentions. We'll catch you guys next week with some Satan.
It's going to be all for us today. Stay classy, eat trashy.
Go fast, eat trash.